Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast. And
What's up, guys?
we have
Like,
another stellar episode of Survivor here.
I know, man, man, I know, for the longest time, we're like, oh yeah, Omer's so gonna win this and like everything, and now, like, right before the finale, boom,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah. They
Survivor
gave
proved like
I thought that he wasn't going because they had built him up like that. This was his boot episode, like a lot from the early on. And I was like, oh, maybe this is they're just trying to like show his
yeah, the
like
bait and switch.
yeah, have like a little bit like it almost seems like he might stumble here to like give some suspense, but no, it ended up going through, which somehow the not surprising result became surprising.
I think it was surprising in the sense of because Omer played such a great game, and I feel like the only downfall was moving Andrea, which
Mhm.
I don't blame him for that. It was just like Dre was like, yeah, he was called out on his stuff.
Mhm. Yeah,
And when that happens, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I mean, when you call people out on their things,
mhm.
other people start to realize, you know, you know
Yeah.
what? Yeah. Um,
Yeah, it really seemed like maybe it was one move too early for him to have that kind of big jury reaction kind of move that ends up happening here. Marianne in this episode, I think this was the much better time for her to make this kind of big play and strike. Like I think going into this episode, I could see her, only really beating Jonathan and Romeo like a guaranteed like she beats them. But now I think she's gone way
where,
up. Yeah,
where
she's now like I if she gets to the end, she wins. Like I actually think
well,
she beats
that's
everyone else now.
strong
Yeah,
possibility. I'd
yeah.
say the only one that I don't know. I feel like the two it really depends on the jury because I can
Mhm.
see a Mike win,
Mhm.
but I can definitely see a Lindsay win.
Uh-huh.
And if we're talking about under edited winners before, it's funny during because I watched it live. They showed like a little Survivor moment, and then it showed Michelle Fitzgerald, and that was a Survivor contestant, wasn't really featured too
Uh-huh.
often. And then near the end, whoopsie, oh, looks like she won.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know. The reason I just keep going against that is that they just had so much backlash in Survivor 41, and this season just seemed like they were trying to retcon and
no,
go back against what a lot of the fight back was, and there was a lot of anger for Erica not being as edited as what a winner typically should be getting. Um,
well, I mean, that's
in this
always
episode, Marianne has been in every episode. Like she is talking in every confessional. She's like, even if not, it does not matter her opinion of the game. Like if her thing matters, we're still seeing it just because it's that important.
yeah, and
Mhm.
just fucking entertaining.
Yeah.
Even during this, let's talk about this reward challenge. I saw the cameraman. I just like in my head just run for his life.
Yeah. When Marianne started to go back, like go spin the other way to and apparently there is like some theory to that's right, but I refuse to believe that. So it
I
was
mean, everyone has their method of giving over dizzy stuff,
yeah.
but I've never tried to combat dizziness with reverse dizziness, so
Yeah.
I am not one to say.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it helped her too much. She still struggled with the challenge. I think the dizziness was probably still there for at least a good chunk of that. So
I mean, it's kind of like in acting. Sometimes in audition, you just got to make a bold choice, even if
mhm.
it's not the choice they're looking for. You just got to
Yeah,
go.
I mean, it was an entertaining choice, so I'm here for it.
Yeah.
uh,
Um, but yeah, that challenge, that one is always tricky. That double-sided puzzle and the one where you have to stack it down and everything.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Because you got to look at both puzzle sides because there's some that are like not, it's not like they're both equally placed on it. It's like there's, you gotta really look like, okay, this one is good for here and there. It's
yeah,
it can be a little tricky there.
and especially with the rose compass part, it's like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, I can see how that can be very, very confusing, especially when you're not getting the full picture.
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, I do feel like when you also are doing it with like all these other people who are doing it in front of all the cameras and crew, it's got to be a little nerve-wracking as well. You can easily put a piece in that's good for one side and just be like so into it and not even realize that and then you suddenly are like, wait, why is this not working now?
Yeah,
So
that's usually how life goes for me. But get one side all right, but the other side, not quite the case. But
Mhm.
Omer did, he won this. He went over the stage fright, conquered his stage fright,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
and
it's
yeah,
good to see him win a challenge, like, because he's definitely not someone that you'd expect to win a challenge. So it is always good to kind of see those people win challenges. It was fun seeing Cochrane win 3 immunities back in Caramoan. But even just a little reward challenge is nice to win. But what I'm really curious to know from your perspective is what do you think of this twist that Jeff then says about you can either take 2 people for the chicken, which is the better one. That's like you have real substance, you can actually like get some more strength off that, or 3 people, but you get chocolate cake and cookies, which is delicious. But I mean, you're gonna have like a sugar rush out there on the island, which is never
I mean, like,
great.
you get carbs and
Mhm.
like, yeah, sugar, but like
Yeah.
sugar crash. I don't know. Like, I've never been so deprived of like food that not sure like how, or like of sugar in general, where like, oh, it being reintroduced in my system and all that.
Mhm.
But I mean, like, if we're talking like straight up calories, there is like an argument to be made in that portion. I know, like, straight up with, like how protein and stuff works, like, yeah, it'll make you fuller and it'll build up muscle after, like, workout or something. However, like carbo loading,
Mhm.
well, I mean, like, the sooner you do it before the work, well, I mean, there are different types of carbohydrates. I know this is what you guys are like looking into for like Survivor. Uh,
Yeah, all the kinesiology students right now take notes. Teacher Ryan is
this,
gonna lay it down for
um,
you.
I do know a few things. I subscribe to food theory, and I'm someone that run marathons and stuff. But like, so there are different like carbs that have like different effects. So there's like fast acting carbs, and then there are ones that will like boost later.
Mhm.
One thing that film theory did was like, like, oh, the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches prior to a game,
Mhm.
before like an NBA game, and that became a staple because it's like, like one of those things. But there is merit because they both have carbohydrates, one
Mhm.
for like during it and one for like after. um Trying to think, it's been a while, so like now I'm trying to remember which one is better. Like, basically you want to get the instant one like as soon as possible, and the reserved one, um no, actually, you want the like, you want to basically get instant energy, but you also want to have something in the reserve. So like,
Mhm.
sometime before the game, get the reserve one, and then during the game, eat the like one that acts faster.
Uh-huh.
Sugar, or like, the sweet stuff, is more so the instant one. But knowing how cakes and how most pastries are, you do get some of that latent one as well. And now,
Mhm.
like, usually we're talking like a game that's the same day as opposed to like the next day over. However, it's better than nothing.
Mhm.
Uh, Not to say like, I would say on the thing of like, all right, the dynamic, the social thing. I say he did it the best way he possibly could, because like, you know, you want to make sure that you're feeding the most people possible, because it's a little shitty to be like, I could have brought one more,
Mhm.
you know, something like that. And then
Yeah.
also taking power away from the two challenge beasts that are like out there.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I gotta say, I love this rivalry that has been like the Jonathan Lindsay one, which like,
Yeah.
you know,
Which we are going to 100% at Final Five. It's going to come to a head, and I could break down why it has to happen at Final Five, because Mike has an idol, he can't go home at Final Five. Marianne has an idol, can't go home at Final Five. Romeo is
when
a going to the end. I mean, or
yeah,
Final Four. It potentially like he gets screwed over a fire somehow, like they send him in for some reason. Potentially
there
that happens. But
there is that possibility.
but like
However,
he's not going home at Final Five. Like they are going to try to get him there.
yeah, like when they were bringing up Romeo this episode, I'm like, oh man, don't let this be Romeo's elimination, because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I feel that's like such a you. Granted, it would make for a very interesting finale because everyone is
Yeah.
kind of playing with power.
Yeah.
However, it's like head decision wise, I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah,
You have like
this was definitely the last time that I think it would have made any sense to get rid of Romeo. Like in terms of like safe votes, like we know that Lindsay has to play. It's like there is a lot of validity into what Mike and Jonathan were saying there. And I do think that was good for their game, not
yeah,
good for Marianne's game. So the like I think that they're going to get a lot of hate for like not like going with the girl and kind of like trying to be yeah, exactly. I think they might get a lot of hate there. I don't think that they should, because
no,
like
I mean like
they should have got rid of Romeo. Like he serves not really the best purpose for their game. Like I know, especially for Jonathan. I mean, he probably wants to get to the end with Mike and Lindsay. I think he would have wanted to, if they got rid of Romeo there.
the thing is, it's like Romeo he's been silent for the last part of this. Like the only thing he really has is, you know, being on the bottom, being on the chopping block.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that's enough for this
Yeah.
finale.
Yeah, well, he has so much negative content. Everyone's talking about Romeo just sitting around eating the rice.
Yep, I've seen that. I've seen like people
High has been was really against Romeo at some point for some reason. He just like turned on him, and I imagine High has probably been talking smack on Romeo at Ponderosa. He's a 0 vote finalist most likely. And now it's really so yeah, I think at Final Five, I think whoever wins between Jonathan or Lindsay gets to move on, and then whoever loses will probably end up going home. And then at Final Four is where it gets, I think, a little more convoluted, where it's probably either the winner of the challenge is going into fire, or Mike or Marianne. I'd say that those three are then the most likely potential people to go into fire. But I don't know. If Marianne gets through that fire, I just think that she wins this game.
Yeah. I mean, like, Shay. I was watching the iCarly show. But so like I would say yes. Kind of like she has been playing like the underdog thing. Yes, she prior to this point, like on the bottom, like in her own alliance, and the like outside, not part of the 7 or 8 when it came to like the merge. And then now taking out Omer, who was like, key to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
If Lindsay played her idol on him, like, boom, would have been there. But like, as much as like Lindsay said that, I don't know if it was just loyalty, but like also like they made an argument. It was like, oh, when an idol's played, another one comes back.
Yeah,
not
I didn't get
necessarily that. True.
Yeah.
Like there's like the tribal idol, and then there's like, like pre-merge idols, and then there are special idols like, the amulet was.
Yeah. Yeah, when
So,
I first heard Lindsay like throw out that statement to Omer, like I don't want to use it because I don't want a new one to get put into play. It's like, oh, they're literally saying this is the last time to play it. Like that, the odds are they're saying final six instead of final five because they're going to put in their own thing anyways at final
yeah,
five. Like I think any future Survivor player should go out there if you're advantage ends at a different time than final five, you should imagine at final five there's a new advantage that's going to get introduced. Not It
yeah,
has nothing to do with the thing you have right now. Just know that you should play it at the last time every time. Like if Lindsay saves Omer here, she's in a comfortable position to make it to final three. But now she's in a must-win scenario to get to final three.
yeah, because like Omer he was like too good for
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
You've made a lot of good points when it came to like his hand was like revealed just wee bit shy before then.
Yeah.
And plus at the very end of the episode they said that they're going to a different island
Yep.
or a different beach.
Mm-hmm.
So like usually when there's a different beach, usually they got a little something going on
Exactly. Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah. We see in the thing that they're looking for something. Was it an advantage in the immunity challenge? I believe that's what the reward was, or the advantage that they found last season. Um,
I think so.
I believe it was like a decent lead. Yeah, yeah, because Erica got it and won immunity because of it. Like
Yeah.
it 100% mattered for her.
Oh yeah. Because like they all had to open it at the same time and then
Yeah.
skedaddle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. She was like the last one to solve it, but was the first one to get there. And then I believe it was like oars or something that she only had to like get two, whereas everyone else had to
Oh,
get
it
six.
was like an advantage on pretty much every single obstacle. So like
Oh yeah, oh
it
yeah, that's
was
right. It was crazy, like how far she got to just skip in the challenge.
well, I mean, like if you think of and I said that last time, I was like, if you think of like that opening thing as part of the challenge,
Mhm,
it makes a lot more sense as opposed to like just a straight up advantage. If you
mhm,
think of that thing where everyone had an equal shot,
mhm,
they all had to like solve it and do it at at the same time.
mhm.
It's a lot less. It's a lot less like what's the word I'm looking for? It's a lot less broken.
Mhm.
I used that word. Why did I lose it? When you think of it that way.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
so it really
yeah,
depends, how that
yeah.
kind of goes about.
As long as they don't like introduce some kind of idle nullifier that at final five, that would be absolutely awful to bring in that kind of thing at the end here. But yeah, I mean, so far a good season. I'd say a lot of like back-to-back episodes here I thought were, like top tier Survivor watches at the very least.
Oh yeah.
So it's good. I'm definitely sad though Omer's not here. I thought he was a lot of great entertaining television. He has that a weird heel turn I felt like happened in like the last few episodes where he gotta kind of become like this evil villain that I think it was just trying to set up who ends up winning the season, because in 41 when Shan goes, Erica ran the gambit pretty much from then on, and I think that we're seeing potentially that happen here with Marianne, where Omer was set up as the Shan type thing here at the end, this great player who seemed unstoppable, and then someone who was unassuming ends up taking them down, and essentially takes over that new throne and just is basically unstoppable from that point on.
Makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't say there's a power void,
Mhm.
but like because us as the viewers, we're like, oh yeah, like Omer and everything. And now that he's gone, and I will say it was tough to. It is kind of tough because like now that Marianne has made a big move and such a
Mhm.
big move,
Mhm.
nonetheless, like obviously she's going to Final Four because she has her idol. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you play it? Unless there is, like what you mentioned, an idol nullifier. Don't
Yeah.
think that's going to be the case,
Yeah.
but
I think Survivor will get a lot of backlash if that advantage was a I don't know fire. So
maybe the advantage is like, yes, like an advantage in the challenge. Maybe not as advantagey as what Erica got.
yeah. If you
For a
win,
lot
you
of
get to use the shot in the dark with a 50-50 chance. Or is it the 50-50 coin? They could bring that back.
I don't know. I feel like more so of like what they did last season, but not as like, advantageous. Like, maybe it's like, because what they're doing for 5 is like, oh, you have like the obstacle course thing, and it's like, okay, you can choose not to do like 1 or 2 of those obstacles,
Mhm.
or it could even be a thing like you have a choice. Oh, you can take 2 of the easier things out of the way, or you can take 1 of the challenging obstacles out of the way.
Yeah, I'd like more immunity challenges to have like branching paths almost where like if you're more of a smarter person, maybe there's a like more puzzle like kind of route or endurance like less less physically like get through the obstacle course thing. But for the like Jonathan's, there is like that kind of like pure strength kind of route that you can also kind of do that tests your strength that way. Like I'd like to see a challenge like that. I think that would add a lot of fun elements of like what path is the best way for you as a player.
Or like I think they did try incorporating that. Was it BBB2 Korong, where they were like, oh, you could choose balance, strength, or a puzzle to like get ahead or something.
I don't remember if it's there. I know David versus Goliath had different options. Like there was 2 options per path. And I don't know if they each had to like choose one and then that was their path. I can't remember exactly. It was like the
I
first
know they
challenge.
did in that one, but I could have
Yeah.
sworn because like it was very much in the theme of like bronze, brains, and beauty, and like beauty, like obviously in a challenge, like you maybe distract the other people with your glistening muscles or something, but like
Uh-huh.
usually I guess like there's an association between beauty and balance. So
Mhm.
like maybe that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be interesting, especially around this like final 5, final 6. I think because you can't do that kind of challenge with like everyone. You got to do it kind of near the end because
yeah.
that's just a lot of set building and set design.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I don't know if you got a chance to listen, but the Rob has a podcast. He did a feedback show with or recap show with Ricard Foyer, and he talked a little bit about Survivor 41. And apparently, like no one on the cast even thought about the shot in the dark after like Jeff announced it. Like Shan apparently lost her shot in the dark in the mud and just didn't even care. She was like, whatever.
Huh. I mean,
Yeah. So off of that, what are your thoughts on the shot in the dark? Is it something that should stay in Survivor or?
I think it should,
Hmm.
because like I mean, 1, we haven't seen a successful one, and 2, it's kind of like, it gives like one ray of hope for some people. And I do think it does give better gameplay in the sense of like, oh, okay, like, all right, it's like better gameplay in the sense of like, okay, like, oh, we have to make sure this person feels so secure that they're not going to play their star in the dark.
Yeah, but
Or
which
give some,
didn't even really happen this season, which is weird. Like there's in the merge area, there's a little more like splitting because they're afraid of idle plays, but in the
yeah.
pre-merge, they were like, whatever, let's throw
Well,
all
maybe
of
because it
them.
was like, it's like, because at that point it's up to the tribe what they're going to do. It's like, all right, are they going to go with me, or are they going to go with the other person?
Yeah,
Well, I'm pretty sure they're leaning towards me. Might as well play my shot in the dark because I'm
yeah.
screwed either way.
Yeah, and I think ultimately that's why I don't like it in the current format of Survivor of the starting 3 tribes of 6, because it's like you don't really have that option to have a secondary like patsy votes most of the time. Like otherwise you're like just throwing away tribe dynamics and chemistry by doing it. So ultimately you kind of need to just put the votes or manage to convince them that they're fine, which if anyone's like just a somewhat aware socially, like you can usually kind of sense like, hey, something's up here. So I think if they were doing still tribes of 10, I think it would make way more sense in terms of the pre-merge, especially you would have more chances of like actually having to play around it. Otherwise, it's just kind of like, oh, that's like Zach. Like, imagine if his thing is successful and he ends up making it to the end. Like, I don't know. It's one of these things where it's like he was not well insulated in his tribe, but because of a shot in the
Survivor,
dark.
what if? Dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
exactly. Because Zach and Marianne get to the end and become
the new Amber.
Yeah.
New Amber and Boston Rob.
Oh man, what could have been?
I mean, apparently, Joe brought this up to me. There might be a little something between Lydia and Zach, which
yeah.
if you want to explain it because you know more about it than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I just know that there was like a leak that kind of came out that Lydia and Zach both had a hookup at Ponderosa, and I mean, there's not like too much to it. It's just like this is kind of what's out there. Anyone can look it up if you are interested, but well, yeah, I don't know if they'll ever come out and absolutely say like, yeah, we
I mean, if they ever become a thing, I don't know, like, either way, like, like that's the thing. Like, it's one of those twists, kind of like similar to, I would say, like, I like the Do or Die a little bit more than the Shot in the Dark.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'd say I like the Shot in the Dark better just because, at least in the current iteration of Do or Die, like I'm still saying I'm indifferent towards the Shot in the Dark. Like I'd rather like actually just be like, I could take it or leave it with that kind of advantage. But like the idea of someone going home without a vote, they just simply get ejected from the game pretty much because they picked a wrong box.
I mean, I get it, and I get it. I feel like I'm more indifferent with the Shot in the Dark than I am the Do or Die.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I like those like crazy random moments where I'm like, "Ooh, okay, let's see."
I also enjoy very well played gameplay of just someone being able to completely dominate the game, and being able to actually plan ahead, and that really does essentially make it just a random shot in the dark, I guess. But
well, in some regards, there is like a strategy behind it.
Yeah. I mean, we're about to see, I think, if they keep the Do or Die, if there's one person who's really good at challenges, like that person might, or if they're like if they know that they're on the bottom, we really might see that person be the only one that voluntarily tries to do it. Everyone else sits down, and so we do get to just one person wins immunity without having to do a challenge.
That could be a thing.
Yeah.
You just never really there's a lot of variables that play into it, and like with the new season coming in with 43, the cast list is out. If you guys have looked it up, there is a Ryan on it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the personal trainer, and like obviously, like I might choose him just on principle, but
yeah, there's no Canadians in this next season, I believe but there is two people from Hawaii. We've never had a contestant from Hawaii, and now we're getting two of them next season.
Really, that's curious.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm rooting for one of them. I think one of them is going to be entertaining.
We definitely have to talk about that later. Like I kind of like glanced at everyone's faces and like names and occupations, but that was like Ryan has been kind of busy, so like I saw that, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, we'll probably do a Survivor 43 brand steel a few months down the line, or we'll, a little closer to the season.
Quite some time.
Yeah,
but like, I don't know. Summer might fly by fast.
exactly.
We'll see.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we don't know like how, because now that like Survivor has gotten like feedback from like what they want to do with like new Survivor, they can play ahead and be like, okay, so like tweak this, no hourglass. Everyone was pretty clear about the hourglass thing.
If Jeff is so stubborn that he keeps it again, oh my, like people are going to riot. Like even if it's a good season, I think we might get like a riot if it comes back.
Just don't.
There's no need, Jeff. Just let them you can keep the fake merge. I don't care about that. Just
the purge is nice.
I think it's fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. You got to keep the merge boots, but with them still not being in jury, but like I honestly I kind of enjoy that kind of like old school aspect of, even if you make the merge, you're not guaranteed a jury spots.
I'm a little mixed on it, mostly because it's like, no, you made it to this point, you should. But like, regardless, I do like the mergatory thing and everything like that. Yeah. What else should we talk about this episode specifically? I know like we're definitely going to talk about like finale. But
yeah, specifics. Let's see.
Looking at things, like I think I know why. Oh wait, are you first? No, you were just looking over.
Yeah. I was looking at the wiki.
Your notes.
Yeah. Just the wiki.
You're one of the peeps with multiple screens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm just like on my phone doing this. But I feel like one thing that kind of stuck out was the whole Marianne thing of like, because I kind of get it, was like people like making big moves. However, like, if things go wrong, or like, the whole fear thing, that plays into it. Because I feel like, a clean sweep on Omar wouldn't have been as satisfying, but like, I feel like it kind of does kind of bring down like what we said earlier, Mike's game or Jonathan's games a wee bit, because they weren't as risky to make a bold move. I guess in the sense of like, all right, it is kind of splitting votes. Maybe they might go back and say that. Maybe that was like a strategy, but like, I don't know, if there is a revote and you're not one of the people, being on the chopping block, do you still get to utilize your second vote?
Yeah, that's a question I've always had too, because we haven't seen that yet, where a extra vote causes a tie. And especially if that person is part of the tie like votes where you can't vote then, so then I guess you also lose your extra votes. So
well, yeah. But like in the sense of like in Marianne's case, doesn't quite work here because of like 7 people or like 6 people left. 7 isn't really divisible by much unless someone like voted, because Romeo also voted for Omar. So let's say Romeo voted for, I guess, Marianne for whatever reason. She wouldn't have had enough to be, like part of the tie, but like, it would still be like a 3-3-3. So I guess like, like maybe in one day in Survivor, especially if they bring back like, the whole like multiple people having like different extra votes and stuff like that. It was an interesting point.
Yeah. What were you saying?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to compliment that genius move from Marianne's part to have Romeo be the one person that goes along with this plan to create the 3-2-2, because Romeo everyone wants to get to the end, and now he's basically decided to latch on to onto Marianne, which is great for Marianne, because now I like Romeo might be the kingmaker in a way here on the season of just deciding who's pretty much going to be making it to the end. You know,
Possibility. I mean, like, I know we keep saying that it's like, you know, oh, it's either guaranteed to be like Lindsay or Jonathan that wins immunity. Granted, both their track records would say like, you know, they're usually neck to neck and stuff. You know, there is that possibility. However, like, you know, Mike could win, or Romeo could win the challenge if it's something like, you know, Marianne could, and like she can be want to play her idol whichever way she wants, or hold on to it with like a flex. Because there is a flex not being able or not using an advantage, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I think it's also very important to note that Marianne has a lot of confessionals about her winning the game. She said in the premiere episode that she wants to win for the weird people. And then in this episode, she said that she can't win the game unless Omar goes out. And Omar goes out.
I mean, I'd say like, you're right. When you messaged me, I was like, yeah, I'd say like out of the 5, she's like the most prominent winner. I feel like it's a toss up between Lindsay and Mike in like 2nd and 3rd place, then Jonathan, then Romeo.
I'm just I've gotten like down on Lindsay and Lindsay and Mike recently. I just think that Lindsay needs to get to the end with Jonathan. I think she's one of the few people that she can like beat like hands down in a final 3, and she's she wants to get rid of him, and she's got like the laser vision on him, and I don't think she realizes that he's actually a great person for her to sit at the end with.
I don't know. I feel like with like any other rivalry, sometimes it kind of like, as someone who has competed and stuff and has had rivals, I wouldn't say that you have tunnel vision for like making sure, but like, you know, if you know you're going to have to like face a certain person or something, or like, you know, like, oh, I have to look out for this person, your mind's going to be on them. And like, I don't know, like, there is some merit to Jonathan being like a threat, like in the merge and stuff, and still making it all the way to end. I don't think it's like as strong as merit as like other things, but there is merit there nonetheless.
Yeah, I think it's really just like you could win the challenges to prevent you from winning them, but that's really the only threat he has. You know, and this is also why I don't think Lindsay wins against a lot of people, is that her game, just like Jonathan, is very physical based. Like a lot of her like things that could really be pitched is, you know, she's won a bunch of challenges here at the merge. She's one of the people who can fight Jonathan in these, so like she might get the vote of Jonathan, like she will get that vote, and might get the vote of Omar, but I struggle to see some of the other votes coming her way.
I would say really depends. I would say like if Marianne's out, it's a lot more open for her. With Mike, here's the thing about Mike. I haven't seen like a super bold move out of him yet. Like I've seen him be, basically his moves have been like, all right, this person betrayed me, I'm going to move over to someone that I can be loyal to. And it's good. Gives him a lot of like, I wouldn't say a clean game, because like, but it gives him a stronger case for like the jury, because like he has less blood on his hand, less bad blood.
I see Mike being the runner-up of the season. I think I think he has a very good chance of making it to the end of the game. And I think he's got the relations to get like at least two or three votes at least, like at the very least. But I definitely think that we have a very strategically minded cast, and I think a lot of the people who are more in that side are probably going to vote for like a Marianne or Lindsay, potentially even more than Mike.
Yeah.
But I think if he gets the end, I think he's like, we're assuming Romeo is at the gets the 0 votes. So yeah, yeah,
Maybe carrying someone out, but like at the same time, sometimes if you just look at like what's there, I know he's in the preview. It did say something like, "Oh, here's a fake idol."
Yeah,
It doesn't look like any of the other idols, and sometimes Survivor does that, just to trip people up.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't feel like he's in danger though. I
yeah,
mean, he could hide the fake idol and have someone find it and give him
yeah,
false sense of security,
yeah.
but
All 4 of the other players would love to sit at the end with him. He is the perfect person, because if you know you're at the end with him, you're at least guaranteed that second place money, which
six figures, man.
exactly. Take what you can get, like So
Yeah.
I think they're all happy to lose a final 3 spots to guarantee themselves if they make it there. You're at least number 1 or 2.
Yeah. And like you said, like it's either going to be Jonathan or Lindsay
Mhm.
at 5, and then there's Fire.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the only wrench is then okay, so in the scenario where, let's say, Jonathan does win immunity, Lindsay goes out, Jonathan, like, his odds of winning against Marianne, Romeo, and Mike.
I mean,
Like, maybe Mike can do something, but I mean,
yeah. I mean, like it comes down to the fire making at that point. Like that's the great thing about like more modern day Survivor 35 and onward is like, Final Four, Final Four is a bit more playable when it comes to that.
yeah.
So it really, really depends.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, like, for instance, say Jonathan does win that, who does he bring? I'm assuming he brings Romeo and sends Marianne and Mike into fire against each other.
Yeah, I mean, like it's tough because like winning fire is another resume thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I mean, if I think in that world where that what I just laid out, and either Marianne or Mike wins, depending on who wins that fire making. So
Could you see Jonathan at 4 giving up immunity? Because like he's been known to be
yeah,
like the fireman.
I
Well,
could
not that fireman. Like Mike was the fireman, but then he retired. But like,
Yeah, I personally, like, I know I think it's very likely Jonathan or Lindsay goes out of 5, but it would be really nice to see them go at fire against each other. Like, one of them win immunity and be like, I can't like have my game go down as I couldn't get out this person. I'm going into
well, I
fire.
wouldn't even say not just that, but like, let's say Lindsay goes out at 5,
Mhm.
which would make Ryan very sad. I was
Yeah,
happy when she won
yeah,
immunity.
yeah,
My one last horse.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got someone at least into the finale. So
One little side note I wanted to bring up earlier. Tori has like the best. She's like the
yeah,
modern day Eliza when
yeah.
it comes to like reactions on the jury. She's like, and all.
I agree. It's the great reactions. I love it when a jury has big reactions, and they were just going over the top with everything that was going on this in Last Tribal. So
Shit happened.
yeah, exactly. But it's funny nonetheless.
Yeah. I don't know, but like in the sense of like, all right, Lindsay goes. Final
Mhm,
Four is, obviously everyone except Lindsay.
mhm,
Jonathan wins. And then like it's like, all right, who would he send to fire? Like not Romeo, he would probably try and take out Marianne or Mike,
mhm,
both of which could like either one could beat him.
mhm,
So what does he do in that scenario? I feel like whoever is the least capable of making fire, you
mhm,
give up immunity and then do the fire making challenge there
mhm.
and then go battle it out.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
has been proven to work in the past for some people.
Yeah, it's a nice way to have like a last like stamp onto the game.
Yeah.
Especially if you know that if you don't do it, you're probably not going to win in the final three. Like I don't think I think if Chris Underwood lets Rick Devens do fire, Rick Devens would have won. Like
Season.
yeah, you know, on that season, Chris Underwood broke the record for fastest fire made on one of these challenges, and Rick Devens was right behind him. So unless Gavin or Julie would have been able to beat the record, which I don't know if that was happening. I mean, you know, what we saw was Chris trying to teach them, so doubt that they would have been that fast.
Well, I don't know. It's tough to say. Another thing, since we're bringing up Mike and Marianne, I did like the little bookend thing they says, like, oh, you know, I'm the youngest, you're the oldest.
Yeah,
Nice little moment, and I like their little interactions this episode.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also glad that Romeo finally got to eat out there. I thought that he was about to potentially die because he just looks so thin. Like he is. He
He went out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of validity, and if you're going out to Survivor, put on like an extra 5 or 10 pounds.
I mean, some people do that. I mean, like, then again, I still remember the heart beating out of Ryan Ulrich's chest. Like, you literally see the no, his heart's right here.
Adam Klein said the best way to prepare for that, like starving yourself and everything on Survivor, is because you want it. He said like you do want to have weights, like you want to have extra pounds when you go out there. So he would eat a lot of food at the beginning of the day and then go a really long time without eating to
the rest of the day.
Yeah. So he's able to get the food like at the start, but then has to then go the rest of the day without putting anything else in his system. So if you're looking to go out there and train for Survivor,
then yeah, that's one way. Thank you, Mr. Klein. All right. Other than that, I feel like, I guess MVP obviously goes to Marianne.
Yeah, it has to.
You take out the biggest threat of the season.
Yeah, which was pretty much solely her decision. Like, she was the one that completely did it all. Romeo got clued in kind of at the end, just like, they're not listening to me. I just need one vote to make this work now.
Yeah. As for, I don't know, I don't feel like giving an LPP.
Oh yeah, you don't think anyone played terribly enough?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, Omar was Survivor confident. I feel like kind of like last week, Romeo's low hanging fruit.
Yeah, I'm giving it to Lindsay despite her winning immunity, because I think it is better. It would have been better for a game, at least going into Final 5, for her to have Omar as at least a shield, because now I think she is wide open as a target, whereas if she had Omar, she wasn't wide open as a target. And because a lot of it also is that she could have saved him. Like there's no reason for her not to use the amulet.
Because like, I think here's the thing, like, you make good points, don't get me wrong, but I will say, like, in the sense of like, okay, yes, it's nice to have an ally, but kind of like what Marianne said, without this, it's one thing to have an ally. It's another thing to have an ally that will probably beat you in the end. And so, like, you know, it's like, is Omar worth saving for the end? Because like,
well, I don't think she should have kept him. I think the real thing is that I think this was a little early, because now she has to win out, otherwise she's the one that's going to go home. Whereas if she kept him and took him out at final 5, she's at final 4, and you're already still looking at Mike and Marianne as big threats as well potentially here. So I think overall she could have at least made it further, because now I think she's going to run into a pretty big problem at final 5, whereas
at final 5, yes, but
Yeah.
like at 4, it's always playable. She just needs to
Yeah.
get through one more, and like I don't know, like that's part of
Yeah.
the reason why I don't like.
Yeah,
feel
well,
like-
I'd also say like you got to imagine Hai and Drea are so mad that their advantage that they had found, and they're like, oh, look at this thing in the
went
game,
to waste.
went to waste. And essentially when you just do that and there's like
No payoff.
yeah, and and if she gets the final 3 and has her explanation, it's going to make no sense. Like I think the general consensus is that that was not right as a decision, like for her to think, oh well, if I play it, then it has to come back into the game. I think that's just.
But like, yes, there is a.
I'm only. I think she's the reason I'm saying this is that I agree. I think a lot of people didn't play like terribly this game. This is the one move that I think was like just straight up not like she should have done something. Like even if it's not to play it for Omer, I think you still play it for someone who you want to like say, hey, I want to move forward in the game with you. I think that is more important. Yeah.
I don't know. I like it could come up because it is something where, like, I mean, they straight up want to get rid of Hai because Hai, like he was, starting to like rise up above, the other blades of grass, and when that happens, like you gotta cut it down.
Mhm.
And like Drea was like a super threat. I think it was like timing with the amulets where it was like, okay, well, it was only an idol for one episode.
Yeah, well, that's why it's like even worse that you don't play it, because you have to play it this episode. Like if it's a situation where it's like you have more episodes and you end up just ultimately not needing to play it, like there's a little more validity there. But it's like she goes in here going like, I know I'm playing this amulets, and then just because she wins immunity, she just decides, no, I'm not going to play it. Like there's a huge thing now in modern Survivor and playing advantages and idols because of the jury reaction. Like what you're essentially doing is you're having a moment to let the jury see you playing a really strong game. And even if it's not a successful idol play, like she can say, hey, it was the last time to play it. So she could have, if she didn't want to save Omer and she did want to get rid of him, but even though she voted with him, so I think she would have rather kept playing with him. I think she could have easily given it to Mike or Marianne and said, hey, I want to get further into the game with you. And
or been like a total flex, give it to Romeo and be like, what's up?
yeah.
I mean, like it, there is that possibility. I feel like I don't fault her for not playing it, but
I think it was a misplay.
That could have been there.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if you ever play chess at all, but there's like blunders, and then there's like just straight up like you could have done this better, and this is one of those. She could have played this better, and because she could have played it better, that's why I'm ultimately giving her the LVP. Is I think that it could have cut down her time in the game, whereas everyone else, I don't have like a straight up, wow, they've had this moment that possibly is going to send them home earlier than if they didn't do that.
Fair. That's fair. That's why I'm just not giving an LVP. It's like,
yeah,
I can't give it to
Lindsay. I get that.
Not just because of my bias, but just like I was like, yeah, I just can't.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's pretty much everything, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we only have one more episode left, just the finale, and then it's done. Survivor 42 will be done.
Yep, and 43 will be our fifth fifth one. It'll be like our 5th anniversary of
Exactly. Yeah, it's great. And also, this is a longer off season than this last one, so we'll have a lot more Brant Steels after this season as well.
yeah. Yeah, and I have like a few ideas that I'm
Mhm.
gonna run by Joe.
Yep.
None of them like super like crazy. Like I have like a few, but nothing like
Yeah.
like we'll discuss it. You
Yeah.
guys will know.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of shows and stuff too. So if we have anything along those lines, I have some people already in mind.
There's a few things. But yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So don't worry. Joe and I will keep on producing content as long as we're able. We always find time to like squeeze it in, no matter
Exactly.
what.
Exactly. Yeah. We've honestly been pretty good about the weekly uploads.
Yeah, even like when like because there have been times where like I've been on set for like multiple days. Like there was one thing,
Mhm,
I was shooting something in the mountains, people, back when 41 was a thing.
mhm,
And like I was like kind of like MIA for a little bit. So I just like could not watch the episode, and
mhm.
like basically Friday was the day like where Joe and I had to record because it was just like so busy. But like we're good about keeping up to date, and like we might miss a
Mhm.
week for like Brant Steels and stuff, but like
Yeah, but even then, like sometimes we'll just be like, "Hey, we're gonna be out of town for like a week or two, and we'll record like a few ahead of time." Just
I know, like I remember there was like a weekend where we did an entire season of Brant Steels.
yeah, that was honestly a lot of fun.
It was. I was like, what the hell is
We
happening?
honestly we might have to do that again pretty soon. I'll tell you more about it after this podcast, but
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah,
All right. Well,
yeah. Okay, so that's gonna do it for this episode of the Day After Podcasts.
all right. Peace out, guys.
Okay, adios.